Yes.
And what did you direct them to do?
I directed the print people to print the entire outside area, fence area, around the crime scene, the railing along the walkway, the rear gate area, the vehicles in the back, one in the garage, one in the driveway. Directed them to print the front door of the residence inside and out. I directed them to print the inside of the residence, the moldings around doors, all of the telephones, the television set upstairs, items in the bathroom, the bedroom. Eventually, I requested that they print the kitchen knife that was on the kitchen counter, the first level room bathroom near the kitchen, the railing, the hand railing going from the first to the second level, that's basically it.
Your Honor, may this be marked People's Next in order, People's 84?
Ms. Robertson, 84? 84.
All right, sir, do you see what's depicted in this photograph? Who's depicted in this photograph?
Those are two of LAPD's print technicians. This photograph is looking down the stairwell in a westerly direction along the walkway.
Okay. And she's pointing to the handrail.
Yes.
Is that one of the items that you asked be dusted for prints?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Your Honor, People's Exhibit number 75.
Now, you indicated also that you saw a knife on the counter. You saw that when you first walked into the house at your first visit to Bundy at about 4:30 a.m., right?
Yes.
And is that the position in which you found it, sir?
Yes.
People's Exhibit number 76.
Did you direct that something be done with this knife, sir?
Yes.
First of all, is that the location and condition in which you found it?
Yes.
And what did you direct be done with it?
I directed that the criminalist visually inspect it for any possible blood stains. Subsequent to that, that the print people printed.
Okay, well, are you supposed to let print people print an item if there's blood on it?
No, it's preferable that the blood be dealt with in some type of testing method first.
And was that done?
A visual inspection was made. There were no tests done on the knife.
And was it then printed as well?
Yes.
What else was printed inside the house other than the molding areas and around the door frames that you've indicated?
What else was printed?
Yes, was. Inside.
I believe it stated the telephones, the television upstairs. There was a pack of, I believe, Marlboro cigarettes in the upstairs bathroom that was printed. I believe the nightstand in the bedroom. And they had general instructions to print anything that they felt They would have latitude to print anything else that appeared to be, it might contain prints.
Do you want to take a break?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief recess for the court reporter at this time, so we can switch court reporters. Please remember my admonition to you, don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, don't form any opinions about the case, don't let anybody contact you regarding the case. Also, don't conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. Ask that you step back into the jury room, and we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. All right, all parties are present. Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please.
Your Honor, before they come back, I was going to ask the court, I meant to talk to counsel about this. I need to mark the phone bill that that this witness identified and then identify the phone call he made there. This phone bill was also used with Detective Phillips. I know that counsel has
I thought we
indicated that
had
the phone
marked
number
that
is
previously.
changed. Right, but the entire phone record isn't, I thought just that one call.
Are both calls on the chart? No. All right, then the entire phone record, what was the chart, Mrs. Robertson?
There are probably phone numbers on it that I would like not to have to be.
Well, what we'll do at this point is we'll just use that one page. All right, let's make this 65A.
Your Honor, I was indicating to counsel that there may be phone numbers on there that should be blocked out before this exhibit is given to the jury. And
Well, I'm not so worried about giving it to the jury as releasing it to the public.
For the public.
Yeah.
and that's exactly as well. So before that happens, counsel, I need to sit down and figure out.
All right, but for identification purposes, the full list, full phone bill will be 65A.
67?
65 is the cellular phone.
Yeah, 65 is the cellular phone.
67A.
Right.
All right, 67A. All right, anything else, Ms. Clark? Ms. Clark?
I'm sorry.
Anything else? That's it? All right, let the record reflect, we've been rejoined by all the ladies and gentlemen of our jury. Detective Tom Lange is still on the witness stand under oath. Good afternoon again, Detective. You're reminded you're still under oath. Ms. Clark, you may continue with your direct examination.
Thank you, Robert. All right, sir, at some point, did the coroner's investigator arrive at 875 South Bundy?
Yes.
And who was that, sir?
The coroner's investigator's name was Claudine Ratcliffe.
What time did she get there?
She arrived at approximately 9:10 a.m.
Now, prior to that, sir, had you directed Detective Phillips to make it a second call to the coroner's office?
Yes.
And when did you direct him to make that call?
I believe it was approximately 8:10 a.m.
After Investigator Ratcliffe arrived, what did she do?
She requested a brief rundown, synopsis of what I had at the scene.
By the time she arrived at about 9, what did you say, 9:05, 9:10?
I believe it was about 9:10.
Okay. By the time she arrived, was the first officer on the scene, Officer Risky, still there?
I don't know.
Would it refresh your memory, sir, if you were to see the crime scene log?
Yes. According to the log,
Just
Proper way to handle it.
correct. We're just refreshing recollection here.
Have you refreshed your recollection as to when Officer Risky left
Yes.
the scene?
Just a moment, no, that's not proper. The question is, does that record refresh his recollection? Not if it automatically does.
I asked.
It's a matter of semantics. He's looked at the document. He's indicated it's refreshed his personal recollection. Proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. And is your memory refreshed, sir?
yes.
Can you tell us what time Officer Risky left the scene?
Yes, at 7:15 a.m.
And so he was gone by the time Claudine Ratcliffe got there.
Yes.
Who is allowed to touch the body of the victims at a homicide scene, sir?
The coroner's investigator or coroner's helper?
Are you allowed to touch the bodies of the victims?
No.
So when Claudine Ratcliffe got there, where did you meet with her?
Initially, I met with her in the street in the Parkway area in front of the location.
Did you have a conversation with her?
Yes.
What was that about?
It's a brief conversation to tell her basically what I had at the scene,
And why'd you do that?
to give her an idea what we had and what she would need and how to proceed.
Who is it that is required? Does she need to identify who the victims are when she comes out to the scene?
That's part of her duties, yes.
Do you assist her in that?
If we can,
And did you in this case?
yes.
And how did you do that?
As to victim Nicole Brown Simpson, I entered the residence with Claudine Ratcliffe, and we proceeded to the bedroom, the main bedroom, where I observed a purse belonging to Nicole Brown, and in the purse was identification with her picture, description, and name. And this I shared with Ratcliffe.
What, if anything, were you able to do to assist her to identify the other body, the body of Ron Goldman?
When Mr. Goldman's body had been removed from the position that I first observed it, his pockets were checked, and a California driver's license was found in one of his pockets.
Your Honor, may this photograph be marked People's next in order, People's 85.
People's 85.
see People's 85, sir?
Yes,
And you recognize them?
yes,
Are these the items you just described that were pulled out of the pocket of Ron Goldman?
yes.
And who pulled them out of his pocket?
Coroner's investigator Ratcliffe.
And that card that's Union Bank, did you see that item, sir?
Yes,
Was that a credit card?
yes.
Now, where did you take Ms. Ratcliffe when you took her up to Nicole Brown's bedroom? Did you go in through the front or through the rear?
I believe prior to that, she observed,
Sustained.
After you met with Claudine Ratcliffe in the street, where did you go with her? Or
We
did you go anywhere with her?
proceeded to the location of the bodies.
And how did you do that?
Across the sidewalk to the south of the entrance, across the area just to the south of the walkway, and we angled up towards the northwest, towards the stairs.
Did you walk with her up that front walkway where the blood was?
No,
And by that front walkway, I mean the one that intersects with the sidewalk in front of the location.
yes, no, we didn't walk up that way.
How did you walk up?
Again, it was the knoll area, the area just to the south of the walkway.
Okay. That grassy area, if you were looking at a photograph of it, be to the left of the walkway?
Yes,
And then you walked, did you step over the body of Nicole Brown with her, with Claudine?
I don't recall if I stepped directly over her.
How did you get to the top step?
At that time, I don't recall at that time, we may have stepped over at that location because she got to the top stoop.
Okay. Do you recall if Claudine Ratcliffe got to the top stoop by walking up the front way or in through the garage?
I believe it was the front way.
Okay. Were there areas on the landing area around the body of Nicole Brown and on the steps above her that were free of blood?
Yes,
And were those areas large enough for you to step in to gain access to the top landing?
yes,
Did you step in those areas?
yes,
And did you direct Ms. Ratcliffe to do the same?
that's correct.
And after you got to that top landing area above the bodies and the evidence, what happened next?
I pointed out to Investigator Ratcliffe the various pieces of evidence that I've observed while there.
Why did you do that?
It was important to me that she know where the evidence was so that it wouldn't be trampled or disturbed in any other way.
Okay. And after you did that, then what?
There was some discussion about blood on the bodies.
Were you pointing something out to her?
Yes.
What was that?
I pointed out some blood that I was interested in on the back of Nicole Brown Simpson.
And did you explain to her how the body of Nicole Brown was found? What were the circumstances that led to the discovery of her body?
I think it's leading to just details of took.
Overruled.
Yes.
Now, why was it important for you to tell her that?
Because
Overruled.
as part of her investigation, she would want to know the circumstances under which the victims were discovered.
And then you indicated, I believe, that at some point you and Ms. Ratcliffe went into the condominium
Yes,
and retrieved the identification of Nicole Brown. Is that right?
yes.
After that, what did you do?
believe again it was after that we came downstairs to the locations of the bodies. And again, visually examined where evidence was pointed out to Ratcliffe. And she first went to victim Simpson and made a closer examination and began to remove the victim from the location.
So was Ms. Brown's body removed first?
Yes.
Now, prior to her, Ms. Ratcliffe, removing the body of Ms. Brown, did you come out, were you outside with her? Did you both exit the condominium together?
No, I believe she remained in the room to check for further identification, and I returned downstairs to complete what I was doing.
Which was what?
Documenting the body positions, the scene in general, the condition that I found the scene to be in, as well as the bodies.
At some point, did Ms. Ratcliffe come back outside?
Yes.
And during that time, when you were doing the measurements and making the observations that you've indicated at the crime scene, you indicated before you were wearing gloves, is that right?
Yes.
When Ms. Ratcliffe came back out, did she then proceed immediately to the body of Nicole Brown?
She first asked me if
Question?
It's not responsive, actually.
Did Ms. Ratcliffe make an inquiry of you?
yes.
And what was that?
Sustained.
May we be heard, Your Honor?
Sure. What's court reporter? All right, thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did Ms. Ratcliffe make an inquiry of you, sir?
Yes.
She asked you something, did she?
Yes.
And in response to that, what did you do?
I allowed her to come down to the body itself and begin her examination.
And what did she do?
She began the examination by placing the victim on a plastic sheet.
And did she do that by herself, or did she have some help?
No, she had an assistant.
A driver?
Yes.
And then what happened?
I caused photographs to be taken, close-up photographs, during her examination.
At the scene there?
Yes,
And those photographs that you directed be taken, what were they of?
they were of the deceased.
Of Ms. Brown?
Yes,
And were those photographs taken of Ms. Brown during Ms. Radcliffe's examination of her?
that's correct.
Before Ms. Radcliffe went down to the crime scene and moved the body of Nicole Brown, had the victims and all of the evidence around them been photographed in place as they were found?
Yes,
And after the photographs of Nicole Brown was taken during the examination by Ms. Radcliffe, what happened next?
the victim was removed to the coroner's wagon. And
What-
subsequent to that, there was a liver temperature taken
Okay.
in the van, I believe.
Ms. Brown's liver temperature was taken inside the van?
I believe it was, yes.
And then what happened?
Radcliffe and the driver returned and began an examination of Mr. Goldman.
And how was that accomplished, sir?
Initially, Mr. Goldman had to be lifted up out of his position because of the confined area and brought out onto the walkway where he was placed on a plastic sheet and examined.
And where was that done? Where was that plastic sheet placed?
On the walkway in front of the residence.
The walkway that leads from the sidewalk up to the front step?
Yes,
And where on that walkway? Down by the sidewalk, up by
it was
stairs?
in the vicinity of the front gate.
And what occurred next?
Radcliffe examined Mr. Goldman on that sheet, and there were photographs taken of various things that she found.
You've seen it, oh yeah.
People's Exhibit 59.
All right, so Ms. Radcliffe and the driver, they had to lift him out of that area,
Yes,
and then they brought him, I think, what, did you indicate south of where he is now? In that photograph?
yes, south and then to the east down on the walkway.
So they had, okay, so were both of them back in that area where Mr. Goldman is?
Yes,
And when they moved his body out of that area, they moved right over that dirt and onto the walkway
that's correct.
in the area of that envelope, the hat, and the glove?
That's correct.
Cut. And what occurred next with Mr. Goldman? Was there an examination performed?
Yes, there's also a liver temperature taken of him.
And then what?
Mr. Goldman was wrapped up and removed from the scene of the coroner's wagon.
All right, now after the body of Ron Goldman was removed, did you make any observations of something that you had not made before?
Yes,
And what was that?
observed a white metal ring in the dirt in the area below Mr. Goldman where he had been.
People's Exhibit 56K.
Do you see what's in People's 56K?
Yes, that appears to be the ring.
People's Exhibit 81, Your Honor.
It was 81.
Are you able to locate in this photograph, sir, where the ring was after Mr. Goldman's body was removed?
Yes, the ring would be approximately the center of the photograph where the little card is indicated, the center card.
Can you direct the pointer to that area, sir?
I believe it'd be down there, this card right here.
Is that, okay. Can you put the initials on there? And may this be marked People's 81B?
81B.
All right, now after the bodies of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown were removed, did you continue your crime scene investigation?
Yes,
At some point, did criminalist Dennis Fung arrive at the scene?
yes.
And when was that?
I believe that was shortly after 10 a.m.
When he arrived, what did you do?
I took Mr. Fung on a walkthrough of the crime scene.
And where did you take him exactly?
Started at the front of the location and they showed him the evidence that was there. Pointed out the various pieces of evidence, the blood. He'd arrived just prior to the departure, or just prior to the removals of the bodies. Consequently, he saw where the bodies were from the top step area above the victims. I showed him what appeared to be the bloody shoe prints leading up the steps westerly. Pointed out to him the blood, what appeared to be blood droplets. We walked through the rear gate, pointed out the blood on the gate. We walked to the rear of the location, where I pointed out a fifth blood droplet in the driveway. And there were some coins and a couple of other objects in the rear. At some point, we also entered the location where I had him do some testing.
Now, did you point out then all the evidence to him that you've previously described to us today
Yes,
and Friday?
yes.
And did you direct his attention to the knife on the kitchen counter?
Yes.
And did you ask him to do something with that knife, sir?
Yes, I asked him to do a visual examination, and if he observed anything that appeared to be blood, to do a phenol or presumptive test.
Did you ask him to do anything else in the house with respect to the detection of blood?
Yes.
And what was that?
To check some reddish stains on the carpet of the staircase going up in the front of the house, as well as some red stains on the throw rug in the bathroom upstairs.
Do you know what the results of that examinations were, of those examinations were?
Yes, you know.
Correct. Do you know?
Yes. They were negative.
Now, at some point, while you were examining the exterior crime scene, sir, do you recall going out, after the bodies of the victims were removed, do you recall going out to the dirt area where the body of Ron Goldman was found?
Yes.
And do you recall observing the pager after the body was removed?
Yes.
Did you make any examination of it at that time?
Yes, I did.
And what happened with that?
No, we just recovered it. That's all we've done so far.
Actually, Not even that. I think he just observed it so far.
Right.
While at that location, the pager activated.
The pager went off?
Yes.
What number was shown?
I haven't committed the number to memory, but I did write it down at that time.
And would it refresh your memory if you were to look at some report, sir?
Yes.
What report is that?
All my crime scene notes,
Do you have them with you?
they're in my attaché case.
I think that's a catalog case.
Feels like there's pretty heavy. You have them?
Yes.
Okay, and what have you, you're able to refresh your memory from that, sir, as to the number that was shown on the pager that went off?
Yes.
All right, Detective Lange, would you pull the microphone back?
Yes.
And what number was that, sir?
447-8667.
And did you determine who that number belonged to?
Yes.
Who?
The Mezzaluna Restaurant,
What time was it when the pager went off?
10:47 a.m.
Did you determine who it was that paged Ron Goldman at 10:47 a.m. from the Mezzaluna?
Yes.
Who was that?
It was an employee at the location, I believe his name was Tanner.
Stuart Tanner?
Stuart Tanner.
Were there any other numbers on that pager?
No.
At what point, sir, did the coroner leave the scene?
I believe it was sometime after 11 a.m.
Did you make a determination, sir, as to how the front gate of 875 South Fundy operated?
Yes.
And what was that? What's the system there?
The gate could not be opened from the outside without a key. The inside knob was smooth with a handle guard, disallowing anyone from reaching through and opening it. There was an outside latch on the outside of the gate that had to be flipped up in order for the gate to open all the way.
Did you determine whether there was some means of communication between some person at the front gate and someone inside the house?
Yes, there was an intercom box with a button.
Did you attempt to determine whether or not that worked?
Yes,
And what did you find out?
that it was operable.
The intercom worked?
The intercom worked.
What about the door release?
I observed what appeared to be the door release in the kitchen, and I could not get it to work. It was inoperable at that time.
Was this on June the 13th, sir?
Yes,
So when you pressed the door release button in the kitchen, it did not, in fact, unlock the front gate?
I heard it click, but it would not release, so it appeared to be inoperable to me.
But did you check to determine whether you could manually open the front gate if it was closed?
From the outside,
Right.
not if it were locked.
Okay. Could you open it from the inside?
Yes. If one were to, in addition to turning the knob, reach over to the front and release the latch that was on the outside.
Now, when, on the 13th, did you perform that experiment on the door, the intercom and the door release?
It was sometime after the coroner left.
Did you attempt to examine the lighting in the area, sir?
Yes.
And what did you find out?
There was a street lamp in the parkway to the northeast of the walkway of the location with an overhanging lamp. There was an additional street lamp, an overhanging lamp, I believe, in the northeast corner of Bundy and Dorothy.
Okay. Let me ask you, first of all, with respect to the overhanging street lamp that you said was northeast of the walkway on the sidewalk, sir, how much illumination was provided of the walkway, that front walkway area, from that street lamp?
I would say none,
And why is that?
because of the heavy foliage in the trees and the hedge to the north of the walkway.
And what about the overhanging street lamp that was at the northeast corner of Dorothy and Bundy? How much illumination was provided of the front walkway area, especially at the foot of the front steps?
I would say very little, if any.
What kind of lighting did you find at the exterior of the residence itself?
There was a small light that was in the dirt area just off the walkway, just to the south of the stationary gate, a low illumination, more or less, that shot straight up. It wasn't concentrated down, it was light going up.
Set into the ground, was it?
Yes,
Were there any plants around it?
yes.
How much light did it afford in terms of the area where Nicole Brown had been laying?
Because of the way it was positioned, all the lighting was up towards the mailbox, and there was none going the other way. It was shielded in an upwards direction.
So did it illuminate the body of Nicole Brown in the position in which she was found?
No.
Any other exterior lighting, sir?
There was a light on the exterior, would be the southeast portion of the residence where the 875 condo joined the condo to the south. So it would be, from the location of the bodies, it would be up the walk and towards the southwest.